everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sammy and today I'm going to share with you my top market tips and tricks and answer some of your guys' questions. I have been doing markets now for over 4 years. I started doing markets in 2021 and I'm doing them very regularly. So I'm hoping that some of the things that I have learned along the way can help you guys, whether you are just wanting to start doing markets, if you've just started doing markets, or if you've been doing markets for a long time. Hopefully you can find some of these tips helpful. I asked you guys for some questions and I will be answering those later on in the video. But first, I just wanted to go through some of my top tips and also just some questions that I get really often that I think you guys will find super helpful. So probably my number one question is how to find markets, which is definitely really tricky, especially if you're from a small town, a small city, things like that. It can be super challenging. When I first started doing markets, I found my first market on Facebook, and I really think that finding markets on Facebook is an amazing way to find markets. I personally am in a couple of local Facebook groups. I'm sure it's similar in the rest of the world, but I'm in a couple of local Facebook groups that are like craft vendors, markets that they're trying to advertise, things like that. So I think Facebook is such a good way to find those markets and even just be aware of markets that are going on around you that you might have never heard of. I think another way of finding good markets, if you can, before you apply, try and go to those markets and suss it out a bit. See if it's busy, see if there's many people, see if the demographic is kind of the audience that you're looking for, see if there's a lot of other crochet vendors, see if there's heaps of people just selling Temu and Shein and that kind of crap. See if there's people, if there's people underselling their items, because then the demographic might not be willing to spend money and things like that. So I think it's always a good idea, if you can, try and go to the market beforehand and try and get a vibe of the place. And that will kind of give you an idea of whether or not you want to do that market. Another really good recommendation that I think will be really good is if you do markets, you can talk to your neighbor friends, ask them if they have any recommendations of other markets that you could be a part of, or if you haven't started a market yet, go to a market and talk to the vendors there, see if they enjoy doing the market, see if it's busy, and try and talk to the organizers to see if that's something that you could apply for. And applying for markets can be different for almost every single market. For me with Salamanca, I have to do an application every 2-ish years, but I know for other markets, it's just a simple Google form, or the first few markets I did, I just messaged them on Facebook and organized it, and that was all I had to do, was just go there. So every market organizer is a little bit different, depends how big it is, depends how small it is, just depends on what you're doing. So definitely keep that in mind when you are looking to apply. Tip number 2 is what you should bring to your market. I'm not talking about crochet, I'm talking about like tables and tablecloths and things like that. So for me, I do outdoor markets and I bring a gazebo with me to every market. I use the 3x3 Austrail gazebo and I think that is super, super good. I've had that now since I started doing markets about 4 years ago, and it has been amazing. I also would really recommend bringing walls for your gazebo, at least 3, just in case it starts raining. You don't want to be stuck in the rain. I also would recommend really good weights. I personally don't need to use weights because we can screw into the ground, but make sure that you have weights if you're doing gazebos, and also ratchet straps. They are super, super good to try and hold your gazebo down while in that wind. If your market doesn't provide tables, make sure that you get a table that will fit your space properly. I use 2 6-foot tables and they are amazing. You also want to get tablecloths. The first few markets I didn't bring tablecloths, and honestly, looking back at my display, it looked so ugly. It just didn't look good. So make sure that you bring some nice tablecloths and things like that, because you really want to try and make your setup look very pretty. You want to make sure that you are bringing signage, anything to price your items, and I also have a little disclaimer about safety eyes, a sign for that, super helpful. Don't forget your business cards and any signage to try and represent your brand and your small business. Of course, if you were just looking to do your very first market, don't worry about these things. Don't worry about business cards. Don't worry about, having all the tablecloths. Like I said, my first few markets, I had none of those things. I had little cards and my mum wrote all of the prices on them. Like, looking back on it, it definitely wasn't amazing, but I loved doing markets. And if you want to start and you don't have a lot of money, don't stress yourself out with the silly little things like business cards, and it doesn't have to look amazing and display. You don't have to buy all expensive display items. You truly can just start with anything you have around the house, which is exactly what I did. You also want to make sure that you're bringing petty cash and also some kind of card payment system. I personally use Square. Tip number 3 is about customers and how to interact with customers in order to try and get that sale. My number 1 tip for interacting with customers will always be crocheting while you're at the market. I think this is such a good idea, and it's something that you really should be doing if you can. I get so many people stopping because they see me crocheting, which is super weird. I don't know why. They're just always so amazed by what I'm doing, and they want to chat to me. They want to come over. They want to come and have a look at everything that I've got going on. And I do really think that that helps draw people into my display. Next thing, don't sit there on your phone. Do not sit at your market on your phone. You look like you don't care. You look like you don't want to be there, and it just doesn't look good. I know, as like somebody who likes to go to markets, if I'm walking around and somebody's on their phone the whole time, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. Saying that, don't stand there and stare at the customer. Do not just stand there and watch them the whole time. It makes them uncomfortable. Nobody wants to do that, and they'll probably leave. If you are at the market, try and look busy. That's why I say crochet. It makes you look busy. It makes you look like you're not just staring at the customer waiting for them to make a sale, because you don't want to make the customer feel bad for not purchasing something. So definitely don't look at your phone, but also don't stare at the customer. So you really have to find that balance between the two. But yeah, if you can crochet at the markets, I really think it helps so much, because you do want to look busy. You don't want to look like you're staring at the customer, but you don't want to be on your phone because you look bored. So those are the main things. Another question I got a lot about customer interactions was, do I greet the customers or do you wait until they talk to you? Now, this is a super hard thing, because it is true. Sometimes you talk to customers and it's like, oh, and they run away. It just happens, unfortunately. I do normally greet everyone as they walk into towards my table, and I'll just say, hi, how are you? And I'll leave it as that. If it looks like they want to chat with me, I would chat back. You kind of have to go off vibes. Sometimes people look super shy and they look like they don't want to talk to you. They're talking to their friends, you know. If it's like that, I normally won't say hi, hello. I'll just let them have a look. If they want to talk to me, they can talk to me. Not everyone wants to talk, and I totally get that. And then some people are super chatty and they want to talk to you about crochet, especially a bunch of crocheters. They'll always come up and they're always super chatty. So it is one of those things you kind of just have to find a good balance between the two. And it's really difficult, but I would say hi, how are you to everyone if you can, but don't be super chatty with people that don't want to talk, and don't try and push your sales on people. I hate that. Personally, I don't like it. I just don't think it's necessary. Tip number 4 is what you should be bringing to markets and how many plushies or crochet pieces you should be bringing. For me personally, I will always try and bring at least 2K to every market. I know recently I've not been doing that, but that used to be my standard and my goal, to at least bring 2K worth of inventory to every single market. But honestly, bring what you can. That's what I think. If you are working yourself like crazy, you're crocheting so much, you're in pain, don't risk it. It's really not worth it at the end of the day. It's not worth hurting yourself to make a few extra dollars at the markets. If you can't get all of that inventory, that is perfectly fine, and you will sell what you have, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is definitely a good idea to set yourself some goals. So for me personally, every single market, I'll write a list of everything that I want to make for that market, and I will try and get all of those things done. It doesn't always happen, and it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. Do recommend trying to bring a nice variety of items, like trying to bring some bees and some cats, similar to what I do at my markets if you've watched any of my market vlogs. I also recommend bringing at least 3 of each item. Not the big items, like if you have big one-off items, I think that's perfectly fine. But if you have the like smaller items, I would recommend bringing at least 3, and then that will kind of give you an idea of, will this sell really well in the future? Will this not sell really well? Because if you sell 2, then I would say that's pretty good. You should make some more in the future. If you sell 1, maybe see how the other 2 go at the next market. If you sell 3, like, wow, people really like those, you need to make more next time. So I think that gives you a good idea of like how many you should bring to your next market. My tip number 5 is about pricing, which is super hard, and pricing is definitely personal for everyone. Me personally, and what I've been doing for almost all of my crochet business career, is a hourly wage, cost of supplies, plus profit. And that is how I think it should be done personally. I know a lot of people do 3 times material. I know people do like a penny a stitch. It is really difficult to try and figure out a perfect price. If you've just started crocheting, I wouldn't recommend selling your items hourly. If you are just beginning and you take hours to make, you know, a little bee, it's not going to sell for like $40. If you're making a little mini bee like I do, if you're trying to sell that for 40 AUD, it's not going to sell. So you do have to be realistic about some of your prices, but it is super, super hard to find the right prices that people will actually buy things for. But I have always done hourly, profit, and materials, and that is what works for me. It might not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. You can do what you want. It's your business, it's your life. But for me, that is what works and has been working for a long time. I do use a spreadsheet to figure out all of my pricing. I bought a spreadsheet of someone on Etsy a very long time ago, years ago. If you are looking for a spreadsheet, there are definitely a bunch on Etsy for like crochet pricing that I think would be super helpful. So you can have a look on Etsy, and yeah, I definitely think spreadsheets are the best way to go to try and figure out pricing so that it's fair throughout your whole like items. Number 6 is how to deal with bad markets. So that is definitely super tough. And dealing with bad markets, it's really hard. It is really hard. When I first started doing markets, I was lucky if I sold $40 worth of inventory. I really was. I think I had a market and I sold $20 worth of plushies. It wasn't even plushies at that time. I think I sold $20 like of flowers or something. And honestly, I was heartbroken. It is very sad. When you have a bad market, it feels quite awful, but you just have to remember that it's not you. It's not your items. It's not you. Like, it's probably just the market and the people selling. If that does happen to you regularly, maybe try and switch some things up. Try and make some different plushies. Try and make some clothes. Try and, you know, diverse your items that you have. But it can be super, super hard. You really do just have to look at the positives from that market. For me now, if I have a bad market, I just always think, wow, this is great. I have so much inventory left over for my next market. Or, oh wow, I didn't have a great day in sales, but I got to talk to all of my market friends and it was so nice seeing them. Or I got to talk to so many other crocheters that came up to me at the market and that was such a great time. Or I had a beautiful day outside in the sun. You really just have to look at the positives from it, even though it can be so disheartening. You just have to look at the positives and remember that not every market will be like that. And your future markets, your next market even, might be your best market. So just stick with it and really keep going. And also, on that note, how to deal with bad customers. And honestly, I've had a couple bad customers, not awful, like not people yelling at me or anything. I have had people obviously say, wow, that's so expensive. Like, what is that? My grandma could do better. And you know what happens? And that's okay. You kind of just have to ignore it and think about all the positive things that people have said to you that day. Like, you might have 5 people that come through and say, wow, these are adorable. These are so cute. But you get one bad person. And you can't focus on that. You have to focus on all those 5 people who said such nice and sweet things about you and your work. You have to remember that. Because those other people, they're probably jealous because they tried to crochet and they couldn't. Let's be honest, they probably just can't crochet and that's the real reason that they're saying those things. So yeah, just try and ignore those and think about all of the positive interactions you had at that market. Tip number 7 is about best market patterns. Now this would definitely vary from like what market you're doing, where it's at, what country you're in. Like things are different everywhere. I know that crochet is oversaturated in other parts of the world. Right where I am, luckily, it's not super oversaturated, especially in Salamanca Market and in Tasmania. So for me, what works might not be what works for you, but I always recommend loaf kitties. Loaf kitties are amazing. They're super popular. Everyone loves cats. Like cat lovers, they love everything cat related. So cats are super, super popular, and so are frogs, in my opinion. I think frogs and cats are such popular items, and they have been for a long time. And same with my mini octos. They are my most popular item. I have all the stats up in one of my other spreadsheets, and I've sold, I think, over 300 this year already of the mini octos. So yeah, they're very popular. So those would be kind of my recommendations. Now I'm going to start reading your questions. So first I'm going to look at the questions on YouTube, and honestly, I can't believe how many people asked a question on Instagram and on YouTube. I really wasn't expecting this. So this might be quite a long video. One of the questions I got a couple of times was how long that I've been crocheting and how did I learn to crochet. So I started crocheting in 2020 and I learned just from YouTube videos. I think I learned from Bella Coco on YouTube, and I loved crocheting like straight away. I started making just squares of every single stitch. I found that that was the easiest way for me to learn. And I started with wearables. So I think one of the first things that I ever made was this top here, and I loved this top so much. I thought it was so cute. I don't know where it is now. I think I let my sister borrow it and I don't know where it is. Then I also really got into making earrings, and I made some of the cutest earrings. So yeah, I was making a lot of things like that with acrylic yarn. And then in 2021 in January, I started my business. And the first thing I started selling was these tulip pens, and this one is mine. I haven't sold this one, obviously. And I sold them for super cheap because they took me way too long and I didn't know what I was doing. And then I got into making flower bouquets. This is actually the very first flower bouquet that I ever made. I refused to sell it because it was special to me. It was one of the first things I ever made, and I was super proud of it. And in 2021, flowers were my life. I made so many flowers, it is ridiculous. I sold them on Etsy for a couple of months, honestly for like a couple of years. And then in May of 2021, I started doing markets. And the very first one I did was a super small market. I think I sold like a handful of things, and I definitely didn't make much money, but I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I had so many flowers. I remember, I think I signed up on the Thursday, and on Friday after work, I spent the whole day, I stayed up till 4 a.m. making flowers. And then I got up the next day to do the market, and I think I sold like 5 of those flowers, but my table looked really pretty with all of the flowers. I might add a photo here as well to show you guys my first ever market. It was so long ago, it's crazy. My mum wrote all of my signs, and I got all of my display pieces just from op shops, and everything was super simple, super cheap. I think the market fee was 20 bucks. I was young, I didn't have much money, and so everything that I did was super cheap, and I just wanted to do it, try it out, which I think is the best way to do it, you know, just start cheap. Don't go full into it because you might hate it. So, you know, just get cheap things when you can. You don't have to get the expensive, pretty stuff straight away. I still use my cheap op shop stuff to this day. A question I got as well a couple of times was whether or not this was my full-time job, and it is. Crocheting is my full-time job. I have been crocheting full-time for a couple of years now. I quit my job in 2022, maybe? I think it was the end of 2022 that I quit my job. I originally quit my job just to travel. I had worked there for a couple of years and I really hated it. So I went and traveled, and then I came back and I was like, I want to keep doing this crochet thing. I want to keep doing this. And I was living with my mum. So it was a lot easier for me to, you know, do this casually, and I didn't really take it very seriously for a while. And then the past like year and a half, I would say, since the beginning of 2024, I've been taking this a lot more seriously now. Now I live with my partner, we have bills to pay, you know. So yeah, this is my full-time job, has been for a little bit, and I absolutely love it. Hopefully it can continue to be my full-time job for a while because I love doing this. Someone said, love your videos. How do you keep it interesting when attending the same market? I only go to Salamanca Market and I just have a lot of market friends there. And because I'm a casual, I get moved around the market quite often. So I get to meet new people, which is always super fun. And for me, working from home as like, you know, I'm at my desk all day, every day really. And I don't see a lot of my friends very often. So Saturdays for me at the market is like my social time as well. So I get to see a lot of my market friends and I get to talk to all of them when it's quiet at the markets. And that's kind of like what keeps me busy, keeps it interesting. You know, I get to chat with all of my friends, update them on everything. They update me on everything. So I find them super fun. Do you set up your markets alone and how is that? So yeah, I set up my markets all alone. I used to have my mum come and help me a couple of years ago, but now I just set up my markets completely alone. Unless it is pouring down, then my partner will help me. My partner drops me off at the market every Saturday morning, but I prefer to do it alone. I know how things are done, and so I want it done my way. And so I just find it so much easier if I'm just doing it all. I get it done a lot quicker, I feel like, as well. So yeah, I set up my market alone. I think it's super easy, but for my first market, I had to have my mom there. It was too stressed out, and it's just really good to have that extra help if you need it. I've been doing it for a while, so I don't need it anymore. But if you are just beginning to do markets, I would still recommend bringing a loved one with you, someone with you if you can. It's definitely a lot of help. What type of payment system do you use? Why and how to set it up? So I use Square. I actually have my Square reader here. It is super simple to use. I used this one because honestly, it was the first one I had heard of. I went with Square and it is super easy to work. A lot of people do have issues with these, just like with them deciding not to connect with their phone and things like that. So, you know, it might not be amazing, but for me, I've had the same Square for 4 years now, over 4 years now, and I've never had any issues with it. You have an app on your phone that you connect it to. You put in the price on your phone, or you can have a catalog thing and you just click on it. You get the customer to tap it or insert their card, and it is super easy to use. I definitely recommend something like this. If not Square, then another card reader like this. It is amazing. You can also get larger terminals, which honestly I've been thinking about getting one, and then you won't need to use your phone at the market. Okay, someone wants to know about signage. How do I display my prices? So I keep things very basic, maybe a bit too basic. You could definitely make it look better. I just printed out prices on a piece of pink colored paper, cut them all up and laminated it, and that's all that I do. You can definitely make it look prettier, but I want it to be versatile since I always bring so many random items with different prices. I wanted to keep it versatile so that I have almost every single price that I could possibly have in my bag with me, so that I don't have to stress about it the night before and try and make signs for it. I think it's super simple, and I think it also makes it easy for the customer to see the prices, but you can definitely make it cuter. How long does setup usually take? So for me, my setup's probably about 30 minutes, but I have it, you know, down pat. I know what I'm doing. I've done it so many times. When I was starting, it definitely would take me longer, but it's probably about 30 minutes at the moment. What camera do you use to film and what platform do you use to edit your videos? So I have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and I love it. It's really, really good. It's definitely a pricier camera, so it is definitely an investment, but I really do love the camera and I think it's a perfect market camera. As an anxious girly, I think it's like small and compact, so not everyone can tell that I'm vlogging because I do kind of hate that people know that I'm vlogging all the time. And then to edit, I just use CapCut. It's definitely not the best, but it's the easiest. And it's what I would always use to edit my TikToks and things like that, so I knew how it worked. So I just stuck with CapCut. Okay, how much is too much of one item to bring? I'm planning to bring this year on 5 of each. So I don't think you can have too many of one item. If you do, you can just put them behind the table. Like for what I like to do is if I have a bunch of mini bees, I will put as many to fill up like a basket that I have. I will put those out. Whatever I have left over, I just leave it behind the table or in boxes below the table, and I can restock as you go. But saying that, if you're going to put them all out on the table, I would go with about 10. I would probably stick with 10. I think that's a good amount, maybe even 5. Like behind me, you can see I have these axolotls, and I've made 10 of them, and I will put them all out on the table if they fit. And I don't think I would want to put more, honestly, maybe 5 even. Okay, what brands of chenille/blanket yarn are available in Oz, as seems that there's limited choice? Yes, we have a very limited choice for yarn here. We are slowly expanding on our chenille with all of the amazing small businesses that we have, but blanket yarn is still super hard to find here in Australia, and I personally prefer using blanket yarn. I know not everyone does, but I really like my blanket yarns. So obviously there's Spotlight, which they're like not the best with their range, but they have some stuff. Recently, I have been using a lot of Saucer Fibers Unreal Chenille. This is more of a blanket yarn than a chenille in my opinion, but I really, really like it. It is super good, super nice. And yeah, Saucer Fibers, great. They are a small business here in Australia, so I definitely recommend them. I will link all of these businesses that I mentioned in the description as well. Then there is Patty and Bengo's Place, and they have some amazing yarns as well. Although I have only tried their Patty's Plush, but their other yarn ranges as well, the colors look fantastic. So maybe one day I'll use something that isn't chenille and make something else. But Patty and Bengo's Place, and they have a very big variety of colors as well. I definitely recommend them. And then I've also got Scarly. They are another great chenille yarn brand. Right now they only have the chenille, but they have a wide variety of colors, and it's super soft to work with. Then there is a couple of ones that I haven't actually tried. I've heard such good things about Zadie's Craft, and once I've moved, I am going to purchase a lot of their yarn to try out, because I've been waiting until we move to buy any more yarn. So that is one thing that I really want to try, but I've heard such good things about Zadie's Craft. They also have a chenille yarn like the Scarly and Patty's Plush, but I think it's slightly thicker is what I've heard. Then there is also Cozy Cloud or Pages Crochet, I think. And I've heard so many good things about this yarn as well that I really want to try out, but I've yet to try it out. But if you guys know of any other Australian yarn brands that I haven't mentioned, please let me know in the comments, and we can talk about it as fellow Australians about how sad and hard it is to find yarn here. Okay, next question. I'm so excited to see what you'll be making for Christmas markets. Are you able to share your plans? So, honestly, I have not got any plans for Christmas. We are moving at the beginning of November, and then my partner's family is coming down from Norway to visit us in December. So I will still be doing markets, but I just haven't really thought that far ahead on what I need to make. I would like to make little Christmas ornaments. I think that would be super cute. Like the frogs, like the leggy froggies that I make with little Christmas hats or something. I think that would be adorable, and I do want to make that. I'm just not sure if that's something that I'm going to have the time to. Other than that, I don't really have any plans. I am going to buy like a little Christmas tree that I can put on the table and hang the ornaments off of it if I ever make those. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for Christmas patterns that I should make, please let me know. And yeah, I'd love to try and make some cool Christmas things because I love Christmas so much. Was it difficult for you to start doing markets? Do you have any tips for beginners doing markets? At the start, I was very stressed out. Honestly, I was very stressed out. I was very anxious. I remember my very first Salamanca market. I was at the market and I walked off and I cried because I was so overwhelmed and stressed out. And that's just the truth. My mum was there luckily, and I couldn't have done it without her. She is amazing. I love my mum. But yeah, it definitely was difficult. It was one of those things that you really just have to put yourself out there, and you just have to, like, if it's something that you want to do, you really just have to push for it and do it, because I do markets now all the time and it is literally my favorite thing. So it's difficult, but you really just got to push through it. What's my favorite yarn/yarn brand? I really like Burnout Blanket. Probably because I can't get it here very much like I can, but it's really hard to get in Australia. But I love that yarn. It's like so soft and so many colors, and I'm so jealous. What's your favorite plushie that you crochet? The favorite plushie I've ever crocheted is probably the giraffe. I think that's probably my favorite. I love it so much. I love giraffes. I always have. Like, they've just been my favorite for a long time, and I think they're so cute. I need to know the pattern for the medium octos, please. That one is a free pattern by All From Jade over on their Instagram. I think it should be linked in like all of my videos. I'm not sure. I will link it in this video. How do you keep your motivation when you're making multiples of the same item? Honestly, I kind of really like making the same item over and over again. Something about it being so repetitive like helps. I think because I'm able to like watch YouTube. If I have something that I really like to watch and that it will keep me entertained, then making the same thing really does not bother me. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it really does. And I don't want to crochet at all. And when I feel like that, I just have to make something new. I have to find a new pattern that I haven't tried before and make something new, because that's normally how I get my motivation back, is just trying a new project every now and again when you're feeling like that. And I think that really helps. How did you start making amigurumi? I think the first thing I started making was bees, and I'm still making them to this day. I was doing Salamanca markets and I was selling my flowers, pretty much just flowers. And I had a lot of people who were like, oh, the bees love the flowers, because I would have bees all the time. Like, that would come and smell the flowers or look at the flowers. And so I started making bees because they're super cute. Which would you prefer, unlimited yarn or unlimited time to create? Probably unlimited yarn, because I feel like I have unlimited time to create at the moment. So I think unlimited yarn. That would be amazing. I'd love that so much. What is my best seller? So I do actually have a spreadsheet that I have. And according to that, my best seller is my mini octos. I've sold 252 of those, which is crazy. That is really good. That is my most sold item. And then the next thing is the mini bees with 196. And then after that is the loaf kitties with 164. So that's a lot of items. Those are my top 3 best sellers: octos, mini bees, and loaf kitties. How do you make an attractive stand, referring to decorations, text, etc.? So I think it is the best thing to try and have some height. You want to try and have some height, but also as crocheters, we know that, you know, a lot of our audience is young kids. And so you want to make sure that they are able to see things as well. So I like to have a couple levels of height. I have a couple of shelves that are quite higher. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of decorations. I used to have a flower bunting that I would have at the top of my gazebo, and sometimes I use it. I haven't recently because it's been raining and windy, but I do like to have that one as well. It's super cute. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of decorations. I do have little signs that just say like custom orders or like my social media, and also a disclaimer for the safety eyes. What is my favorite thing about doing markets? My favorite thing about doing markets is definitely interacting with people and like just seeing the joy on people's face when they see the plushies. Like, that makes everything worthwhile. I love it so much. Sometimes it makes me want to cry. Like, when people are so nice to me about just anything, it makes me so happy. So I just love seeing people's interactions. So I just love the interactions that I get to have with other people, and also all the lovely people that I get to meet, like other store holders, other customers, and just some really nice people. One of my best friends, she is a fellow store holder, and we met through the market, and she's amazing. Do you always put all your stock out, or do you save extras to restock? If I have extras, I will put them behind to restock. I normally have, it depends on the item. I want to be able to fill up all the space, but if I have extra items, I will put them behind. I don't want to clutter it too much. I do find, weirdly, less items makes you sell out more often. Like, people are more likely to buy things if they think it's the last one. It does happen a lot. If you have like 2 or 3 of them left over, people are more likely to buy them just because they worry about missing out. So I find as well, even if I have a lot of stock, I like to keep some of it behind the table. Favorite item to make and or favorite yarn to use? I love making dragons. I love making dragons so much. I think they're adorable and they're super fun to make. Recently, I've really loved making the puppies from The Girl Who Knots. They are just adorable. I have a few up there, but I have been loving making the little puppy pals. What type of chunky yarn do I use for keychains and plushies? For keychains, I pretty much always use a thin chenille. I like to use the Scarlet yarn that I was talking about earlier, the Patty's Plush, or this one from Spotlight that is now discontinued, Polar Chenille. I will try and use something thin for the keychains, and then for everything else, it's just like Spotlight, whatever whatever millions I can get, really. Okay, how long did it take for your business to fly off? So I was super lucky. I hate to say it. And I started selling online in 2021 on Etsy. At that point, Etsy wasn't full of AI crap, and it was actually a good website. And I was selling crochet flowers. I was also doing like TikToks and things. I had a TikTok in 2022 that got like 6 million views, and that helped me a lot. It really did. Like, TikTok helped me a lot to reach people on Etsy and things like that. So I was just lucky. And I do hate to say it. It's been a lot of work. I have been working a lot. Like, I work hard, but I always feel like a lot of it is just luck. I don't know. Sometimes it's like just crazy to me that all of this has happened to me, because I feel like I haven't done enough to deserve all of this. I don't really know how to answer that. I'm sorry. How do you secure the yarn tails on flat pieces, etc.? Ears or tails? What I do is like take the yarn end, put it under 4 or 5 stitches, and then I will weave it back through the other end, skipping the first stitch and going under like 4, and then skipping the next stitch and going under the 3. I try and like do that back and forth, and I find that keeps it really secure and tight. What's your favorite book? My favorite book is probably like A Court of Mist and Fury. I loved that whole series so much. That series is amazing. And then I also love Ali Hazelwood so much. I think probably my favorite book from her recently has been Bride. I loved that book so much. It was so good. If you have any book recommendations, let me know. I also loved Fourth Wing, but I haven't read a book for like months. How do you make YouTube content? Is it difficult for newbies? Thank you for all of your help. Honestly, it's just a lot of time. It's just a lot of time and work. Vlogging, because it's already something that I do every single week, it's just a little bit of extra time that I sit down and talk to you guys, and I love it. I really do. I love doing YouTube so much. I think it's so much fun, and editing just takes me hours. It takes me like the whole day to edit the videos. So it really is just like time, and you know, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I think it's super fun, and if it's something that you want to do, do it. You don't need anything special. Just use your phone and do it. I started YouTube in February or March of this year, and I still feel like I have no clue what I'm doing. I really do. I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing ever, even though I've been doing this for a while, and I feel like I've been doing it for a month and somehow I have 10K subscribers already. If it's something that you want to do, just do it. Honestly, I put off doing YouTube for years, and I really wish I didn't, because this is so much fun, and if it's something you want to do, you need to just do it. If you're scared that people are going to make fun of you or you're going to look cringe, who cares? Honestly, you just have to not care about it. It honestly doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And if people do, that's their problem. It's not yours. Just have fun. Do what you want. Have fun. Make some YouTube videos. If 10 people watch them, that's 10 people. Imagine 10 people sitting in the room watching you. Imagine that. That's crazy. So any achievement is a big achievement if you worked hard for it. So just do it. What pattern have you been dying to make but just haven't done it yet? There have been so many patterns, and of course I can't think of any off the top of my head. I recently bought a pattern for a Club Penguin, and I really want to make that. I know it's so random, but I loved Club Penguin as a kid, and I think it looks so cool. So I really do want to make that. What's your most used color when market prepping? Probably blue. Do you use a lot of blue for like everything? Actually, no, it might be green for the frogs. I feel like I always run out of green. It's probably blue or green. I think I use so much green for the frogs, but then I use a lot of blue for like everything, whereas I don't use a lot of green for everything else. But those are probably my top 2 colors. I live in Italy. Do you think people in Australia value our work as they should? I feel like here people don't want to spend money on handmade stuff. Did you feel the same at some point? Definitely. I think it really depends on the market. I'm super lucky that where I'm at is a handmade market. There's not anyone, well, there might be a couple people that sell like reselling stuff. People seem to value our time a lot more than other markets that I've done in the past, but it is super hard. That is a big challenge, and I think it's something that everyone feels is, what is your target audience for markets and how did you figure it out? Probably like school kids. I probably found out from doing like markets all the time, and I realized that school holiday markets were like so busy for me. So that's probably my best markets, like is the school holiday ones. What's your favorite yarn? How many markets have you done and how many are you going to do? Okay, that's a big question. How many have I done? I don't know. Let me see. So this year alone, I've done 28 markets. I'll probably end up doing like 35 markets this year. But yeah, 28 markets so far, which I think is crazy. That's really good. And I've been doing markets since 2021. So a lot of markets. I don't know the exact number, but I've done a lot of markets. I watch your videos religiously and wondered if you ever get bored of making the same items each market. I definitely do, but I also don't, if that makes sense. But most of the time it's like repetitive things, like my mini bees, my mini octos and whales. I can get those done super fast. So like I do it while I'm watching a movie with my partner, or sometimes I'll do it in the car while I'm going somewhere. So those things I don't really, but I definitely do. Like there are some items that I just don't make anymore because I simply don't want to. It's more like depending on the pattern. If the pattern is annoying, I won't use it anymore. Like it's just a bit tedious. Like those things, I don't really enjoy making them. If I know how to do the pattern really well and I just do it off the top of my head, then I actually really enjoy it. Have my first market in a few weeks. I'd love to know about best sellers, best patterns for market prep / best ideas. Maybe if you're able to include things other than plushies that do well. So other than plushies are flowers. They do really well, not to like promote my own pattern, but my mini bouquet pattern for me, I always sell all of those really quickly. They're super popular, especially around gifting season, like Mother's Day and Christmas. They are very popular, they're super cute. And then also like flower bouquets, they're super popular as well. It obviously depends on your area, but that's the other things that I've sold that are not plushie related. I used to also sell like wall hangings that were these sunflowers, and they were beautiful and they were pretty popular. But right now I kind of only bring plushies. There's also like scrunchies, you could do scrunchies. Best sellers, best market patterns. So I think if you watch some of my other market vlogs, probably just the patterns that I'm making there, honestly. I think that they do really well. This is so sweet, so thank you. First off, love your vlogs. You have such a happy personality and it spreads like wildfire. What is the biggest project you have ever worked on? Oh, I know. My nephew, I made him this really cool baby suit. It was a star and I made it for him for Christmas last year, and that took me a long time. I used like acrylic yarn or something. So it took me a very long time, but it is so cute. I don't even think I ever took any photos of it that he is not in. And then one of the other biggest projects was probably for his birthday this year. I made him a dinosaur suit and that was adorable. It was more like a jacket and it was so cute, and I never showed you guys. I just never got around to showing you guys. That took me a long time as well, but they are both super, super cute. How do you make your crochet kits? Okay, so my crochet kits, I only have the 2 kits at the moment, and I've had those for quite a while. I decided what to make by what's simple. Like the bees, they're simple to make, and so are the lavender. How do I do the instructions? I used to do paper and video. Now I just do paper because, now I just do video because it's a waste of paper in my opinion. Nobody ever read it. Do you include a hook? Yes, I do include a hook. Deciding pricing. I just figured out like how much the material for every kit was, and then plus like the price of the pattern and how long it takes me to make it. What is your fave thing to make if money or time didn't matter, and what is your favorite item you've ever market prepped? I really want to make more wearables for myself. I really want to make more cardigans and jumpers, and I started a cardigan months ago that I haven't finished. And so if I had all the time in the world and I didn't have to market prep, I would definitely make more wearables or like tapestries. I really want to make tapestries more to like decorate my house. I think that would be super, super cute. What was the other question? What is your favorite item you've ever market prepped? Probably the giraffe. I know I've already said that, the giraffe or the frog. I loved those ones so much. They were just so adorable. I also really like making the cactus pots. I made one a couple of videos ago, but yeah, I do really love making those ones as well. Yeah, somebody's asking me about like booth fees and market fees. Some market fees are a bit crazy. Me personally, I pay about $120 for each market, which is definitely up there for market fees, but for me, it is definitely worth it. I'm able to make a good profit, and so for me that is worth it, but I understand it is a big risk to take when you are beginning. Yeah, market fees can range like crazy, but I do definitely think you can make a profit off of those if you do and are able to take those risks. Not actually a question, and I know that's probably too busy for it, but I would love more than one video per week. I know. I would also love to make another video per week. It's just like, I need to find the time. I think I would like to maybe next year. I definitely don't have the time this year, which is crazy saying that, but I will not have time this year to do 2 videos a week. Maybe next year that's something I could do. I'm not sure if you guys would prefer it if I split my market vlogs in 2, or if I did like a how many of this I can make, or even just a chatty video. And I think that's all of the questions. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys found some of these tips helpful. I'm sorry if I make no sense in explaining anything, but I hope you guys found it a little helpful at least. And my throat is so sore. I've been filming for over an hour and a half. So I hope that you guys found at least a little bit of help in this. And thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any more questions, please leave a comment below and maybe I'll do a part 2, or I'll try and answer them in the comments, because I'd love to hear all of your questions. So I will see you guys next week for another market vlog. See ya.